Yes, welcome everyone here to the Smasher Evening Show right here on Smash FM here on the 10th year of the station. Let's go to our friends over in the US in particular, and we're heading to Florida in particular on the east coast of the US. And of course, we got a very special guest on the show. Of course, her name is Bonnie Maiy. She joins us now from Florida. Thanks, Bonnie Maiy, for joining us.
And thanks for having me, Will. It's
No
a pleasure
worries.
being here.
No worries. So tell us, firstly, obviously we're going to wind the clock back to last year, to 2020. How was it like for you in regards to the music side of things? I know that you just released a new single, which we'll talk a bit about that in just a moment. But
hmm
tell us how the rest of 2020 went.
Well, I actually had a lot of plans for 2020. We had some big things coming up with big festivals in the beginning, lots of shows doing touring. But unfortunately, without needing to say what we all know, of course, circumstances didn't pan out that way. The music industry and everything, as we know, stopped. So what I ended up doing, we had actually an album release set for last year. I have to remember saying that last year now. So I had an album called Demands and Desires that I released. But leading up to that, I wasn't out, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do? This is my livelihood. How am I gonna be a performer and entertainer and sing if I'm not out gigging? So I pondered on it, and I chose to just change my perspective on how I was going to reach my audience. Up till that point, I was doing a lot of gigging, thinking about traveling places, and instead I shifted my focus. I built a sound stage because I used to be a woodworker, so I'm very hands-on. I found some pallets from like a local warehouse, and I turned trash into treasure. And like I said, built a sound stage. I learned how to do editing programs for video, and I just started making content online. And I'll tell you, like the beginning of last year, I think I started out with only a couple thousand followers, and now I believe we're up to 120,000 followers, and that's all because of dedication of connecting with people during this really unsure time. And I think because we were giving people music that was to parallel the feelings of what people were feeling all of last year, and I took the time to talk to everybody. People always ask, is it actually you in there talking to your audience? And yeah, it's me. I connect with them. They open up, and it became this wonderful community last year, and it's just growing. So, if for those of you listening or watching, if you aren't yet, I do have social media. So it's Bonnie Maiy. All of my social sites are on there, but Facebook, most importantly. People are just becoming such a wonderful open community, and I think that's what I really learned in this time, that it's whatever I foresaw in my 2020 in my career, life is always going to give you twists and turns, and if you can stay focused into what you want to do in life, then you're going to make it there. And I'm so grateful for all of the connections that I've made thus far, this year. So
I guess, have you done any like virtual performances?
yeah, we do. So all throughout the time with the last year, every week I put out new cover tunes that are requested from my online community, and we had been doing live streams every week as well, because people like to get that same interaction, shouting them out. The only difference is that, you're expected after you're done a song, people, you to feel the energy of people like, woo, and you just have to see it in the virtual sense of like likes and stuff like that. So that's definitely a change in perspective to the normal show. But right now we've taken a short hiatus because like I said, I had the album release, and I've got a few new really exciting albums going to be coming up this year. So I've been really focused on that, but we're still giving content every single week.
Let's talk a bit about your latest single release that you had called Echoes. Tell us a bit about that. And without giving too much away, obviously we wanted to get everyone to actually listen to it and understand it. Tell us the background behind it.
So Echoes is really about, it's about reflecting on the choices that you have made in life and where those choices have taken you. And we can all relate to that, right? We all have many decisions, even this past year, hard decisions some of us have had to make, but you know, your mindset is what controls where that's going to take you. So Echoes is just that we all have our own echoes in life. You know, mine, the one that I share with my audience online is that I'm originally from Canada, and I had a full-time job. I had, you know, the 9 to 5 kind of thing, but deep down, I've always wanted to be a musician, and I've wanted to pursue my music. And I had the opportunity to come down to the States and pursue my music full-time. And it took a lot of courage and to get out of the fear to just leave everything that I knew and go for it. And I'm so glad I did. But had I have not, then my echo would have been very different, you know? And I think we can all relate to that. So that's why this one song really grabs the attention of the listener, because everyone can relate to it. And with that, you have to go listen to it.
When did you start writing this song and sort of producing this song?
So funny enough, so Echoes, we wrote it in 2019 at the end of the year. And it wasn't going to make it on the album Demands and Desires at first, because it was already a 15-song album. So we're like, at first we're like, let's just get it done and get it out there. And this was before anything we knew was going to happen in 2020. So all my writing is actually done in a tandem. I co-produce and co-write with my partner, Sean Sloan. So we were piggybacking on this album in 2019, and it just squeezed in there into the album. And I'm so glad that it did, because wouldn't you know it, it's the one that everyone gravitated towards.
What's the reactions been like? Now, I had a chance to listen to your music during the week, and it was one of the best. I actually still have it playing on my music iPods and everything else, and of course had a chance to play it in the car on the way to work, which is fantastic. I guess, what's the reactions from your fans?
With Echoes is they, I have to say, and if any of them are watching this, just I have to give a big shout out to all of you, and I love you. I couldn't ask for a better community, and I say that open-heartedly, wholeheartedly. When I put out content, I never like to just put out a song. I would like to put context with the content, something that is a deeper meaning to life, and I want people to think. I want to suggest a thought for them. And because of that, they open their hearts and they open up their own personal stories in life, which has gotten us that much closer. So I really have gotten to know, we've become a family. So when Echoes came out, they started telling me their stories and what their echoes were. And that's what I pose to people. I like to challenge them and that, get people thinking, what is the echoes that you've had in your life, and where has that brought you, and what's your next echo going to be? So, there's just something about it, and I think because it's such a catchy hook, and everyone who's listening to this, when you go and listen to the song, you're going to be singing the song by the end of it, because it's just that infectious. It's echoes.
Yeah.
And actually, when you look on my my social media, so if you go to bonniemade.com or on my Facebook, we just released the music video for this song. So we've got beautiful scenery to go with it. Oh, I beat you to it. But yeah, so if you want, we could talk about that.
Well, fantastic segue anyway to my next question, which is about the music video. I guess, how did that all come about? And did you manage to, I'm assuming you managed to squeeze it in during this pandemic?
Yeah. So, we had so many plans of what we were going to get ready for the release of Demands and Desires. And of course, Echoes was the main song. We took a trip up to Chattanooga, Tennessee. We were blessed enough to have a show there. You know, it was our one of our only shows all of 2020, but it was a safe thing. It was out on a field, like a baseball field in Chattanooga. Everyone was spaced out. Everyone was able to have a good time, and everyone needed to, you know, get out and have live music and have a good time. So while I was there, as we were talking earlier, you've got a special place in your heart for Tennessee, right?
Yes.
So you know, serendipitous right now. There's something about mountains. I don't know what it is. It must have been like a past life for me, but like they just speak to me. And when I saw the beautiful scenery of Chattanooga, Tennessee, I was like, this is Echoes. Like, this is what it's about. It's about that, like I said, reflection. And what a better way to reflect on the past and what you want in the future than to be in a serene environment with nature and just like your thoughts and openness. So when you check out the video, you will see some very spectacular autumn scenes with like the nice colors changing in that setting. So yeah.
I agree with that, because I actually been not far from there, of course, in Nashville. Is that something you want to do? Like, I know Nashville is famous for its country music, but obviously it is the music city for a reason. Obviously, it's not purely country music. Obviously, it's all type of music as well. Is that something you want to do, like perform at the Grand Ole Opry or something similar to that in Nashville?
Absolutely. You know, and I think, so I know when I was younger, I actually took a little trip there to Grand Ole Opry, more as a tour. So I did have a little stint of singing on stage, but you know, properly, I would like to absolutely go there. And you know, you're right. Like Nashville is so diverse now, and because our music, it's actually a mix between country, rock, Americana. We're bringing in styles of influences, a lot from like the 70s into the music. So you know, there's a broad range of influences. I think I said that. But so Grand Ole Opry is one of the places I would love to go, but there's many venues I would love to perform at. Just, you know, feel that energy of some of the greats before me.
Now, something I love about music, and especially your music, and which I heavily relate to, especially when I go back to Nashville in particular, and especially just that region in the deep south of the country. Obviously, you're in Florida, which is very close anyway. Is that it's quite unique compared to everywhere else across the country, let alone around the world. Why do you think everyone's so attracted to music in the deep south?
There is, you know, there's something about the attitude, I think, of the people in that area, where, you know, I think music speaks to them a little differently in the South. And I think regardless, like, I think because it is such a big, like a hub of so many great talented musicians, that it's like you want to draw influence and inspiration from all of the musicians around you. So what better place to be than Nashville or that surrounding area, where you can really be diverse with your music. Now, it's very interesting because down here in South Florida, it's a very different music scene. So I'm here doing country, rock, Americana in a very Latin based and jazz hub, you know? So I'm kind of like the odd one out down here, but I love it. That's what makes it unique. And then I'll just make my way up more south. Well, I guess more north for me, but you get what I mean. Get more with my style of people.
Now, let's talk a bit about your music journey. Where did it all start and why did you choose it? Now, I know you mentioned bits and pieces of it throughout the whole interview, but
influence on music, I think anybody who listens to music, where do you usually draw your first inspirations? I would say your parents, right? That's your first introduction to the style of music that you're listening to. So my dad, actually, he has a small business. And when I was younger, I used to work with him in a small business, and he listened to classic rock. So that's where I got my rock influence. So he exposed me to the Eagles, to Led Zeppelin, ZZ Top, Pink Floyd, all of these greats, you know, with their great guitar licks and emotion. And then there's my mother, who also gave me the country aspect. So with her, it was Reba, Dolly, Garth, all the great names that only need to have their first name and you know who they are, right? So you mash those together, and somewhere in there, I also enjoyed blues. You know, there's just something about like the soul, heart and soul of music with blues. And over time, I you know, that's the music that spoke to me. Now, choosing to do music, like I said, so coming out of, this is part of my Echo story, actually, like coming out of high school, I'd always been a music kid. I'd been in theater. I was always telling myself, I want to be a musician. And for some reason, out of school, I didn't do that. I went to college for woodworking, very, very like left field. And it was, honestly, I look back, I was just scared. I was scared to fail. I was scared to be rejected. So I didn't even allow myself to try. And looking back on that, that's really silly, because you could fail in anything in life, you know, and the fact that I didn't try, you know, I try not to beat myself up about that, because I'm doing it now, right? It's never too late to go for something that you want in life. And if you are determined enough to do it, you will do it. Just have faith in yourself.
And do you have any highlights throughout your music journey so far?
Surprisingly, I have been so blessed with what has gone on so I've been down in South Florida now for 3 years. Okay. I've been doing music on and off on my own for like about a decade, but nobody ever hears about that, right? Like how long a musician actually takes to get to something. But in the last 3 years, being here, being with my team with Sound Business Recordings, it's been wonderful. Time just flies. I'm trying to think. So 2019, we had there was a grand opening for this Hard Rock hotel down in South Florida. And anyone, if you don't know about it, they did this grand launch of a guitar hotel. And you need to look up pictures if you haven't seen it, because this guitar hotel is incredible. And I happened to be there during the opening, and they had some big celebrities there, and I had to run in with Johnny Depp and Joe Perry. And
yes.
So, you know, Aerosmith guitar legend. And we ended up jamming together. And we actually started singing some Doors Roadhouse blues in front of some people. Like, it just, I don't know how it happened. I can't believe how much time has gone by since that. But that was a wonderful experience. And that just kind of opened up a gate for other things. We put that out. The Doors, their Facebook social medias reposted it. So now the estate of the Doors put my stuff up. Through that, I also had a run in with, during the COVID, we've been doing a lot of cover songs. And a few of them that I did Grace Slick, and she recognized that, and she also posted my stuff. Janis Joplin as well. The Janis Joplin estate posted some of my music. So I have been so blessed just by putting hard work in to get some pretty cool little nuggets on my way into my musical journey of what I'm doing.
Oh, you pretty much just answered my next question about performing with Johnny Depp and Joel Perry. So I'll move on to my next question, which is, what does the music scene mean to you now?
Music has always, I think music's very important. And I think the past year that we had really goes to show that the online community in these times of being separated has gotten closer together. And we see, you know, we find connection with each other because of the music, because of the lyrics, the way that the music makes us feel. So as distant as we may be because of the music scene, it just goes to show how important arts and entertainment and, you know, just the creativity of that is to everybody. So even though we have to adapt and change the way that we can express and connect with each other, I think it's very important, and we're going to keep doing it, even if it has to be digital for now. You know, we're blessed to have technology to be able to still have a conversation with each other in these times, and we'll move forward, right?
And I guess, do you have any future ambitions in the music side of things, like after everything hopefully goes back to some normality after this pandemic?
In music, yeah, you know, just continue building. Like this year, you know, I think regardless of where we think things are going, you can't stop living. You can't stop making goals for yourself of where you want to go. So I already have 2 more albums planned that I'm going to be releasing this year, and we're lining it up to start doing touring. So, you know, my ambitions is to just not give up on myself and the things that I want to do. There's so much more music. There's so many more musicians I want to create with. And because of this whole, you know, the fact that most of our connections with my fan base has been online, an ambition is to get out on the road and tour and see people's face and just enjoy the energy all together in one room. I think like that's the immediate thing that I look forward to in music. Yeah.
Now, are any of your plans maybe hopefully performing down here in Australia?
You betcha. When can I come? Absolutely. That is part of the reason why I wanted to do music as well. You know, to me, music is therapy. It is medicine. It's good for the soul. And if you can travel the world, and there's nothing more I would ask for than just to be able to see places. And Australia has been on my list for as long as I can remember. So I hope you'll have me.
Yes, absolutely. No, we definitely would love to have you down here. That is for sure. What will be your advice to our listeners and viewers out there that should get involved in music? Obviously now, you know, people had time to think about it during lockdown here and every other thing, and maybe get to a chance to maybe write music on their experiences. What will be your advice to them?
My advice, and this is coming from someone who has been doing the music for at least a decade, is that nothing comes easy. And you just have to believe in yourself. You have to practice. You have to practice always. I think getting a good team behind you really helps. A teamwork really makes the dream work. Depending on how far you want to go in your music, it's just having more like-minded people there to really help connect the dots, and you know, more minds work better than one. You also have to have a thick skin, because not everyone's gonna like your stuff, and that's okay. That's just the way the world is. You have to, but you know what? There are more people out there that are gonna love you, and just even if what you're doing in the beginning, it doesn't mean that's gonna be your end goal. To put that in perspective, when I first started music, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to sing. I was writing songs, but they were awful. They were terrible. I was trying to be like an electronic pop kind of artist because I was young, and that's what I wanted at that time. You're going to develop as an artist, no matter what you're doing. You know, your start and your end goal are going to be completely different. So just keep moving, keep going for it. Never give up on yourself.
Now let's finish on with a couple light-hearted questions as well.
Yes.
Any embarrassing moments on stage?
Embarrassing? Not yet. Not that I can think of. I don't get embarrassed that easy. You know, if on stage, I'm probably the first to laugh at myself because I can be clumsy. But it's probably going to happen. I'm known to do ninja kicks on stage, so there might be one day.
Yes.
Yeah, there might be one day where like I slip and fall, or maybe like I'll kick and I'll rip my pants. So maybe I'm like foreseeing the future here. You heard that here first on Smash FM.
Now I have to ask: have you ever forgotten a lyric to a song?
All the time. All the time. My, not even just like covers, my songs. It happens all the time. I'm really bad. I'm really bad with that. If people look, like I said, so I put out new songs every week. All right. And I'll just put this little nugget for you. Sometimes I put my phone right there to have lyrics, because if you're trying to give people all this content all the time, I'd rather have it there just in case, than give people a wrong word. And I'm okay. I can admit that. Nobody's perfect.
Now, when you, of course, prior to the pandemic, or even when you had a chance to perform in person at venues across the state, is there a particular time when you introduce yourself to your fans that you actually forget where you're playing at, and you actually accidentally say a different venue to where you're performing at when you introduce yourself?
Never. But the thing is you never know. Because if I can mess up lyrics that easily, who knows? I'm going to knock on wood for that one, though. That's going to never happen. So, yeah, thankfully.
Now, do you have a pre-performance superstition or ritual?
Good one. So I actually always, before I go on stage, I still do warm-ups. I have this one guy on YouTube, and it just is this 15-minute vocal warm-up. And I know so many people that don't even do vocal warm-up before going on stage. It's just been instilled in me from years of music lessons. I always do that, and I will listen to something that has harmonies in it. So like it'll either be the Eagles. It's always different though. Eagles or Fleetwood Mac. A lot of the times Queen. And I will do harmonies with those songs, and that's how I warm up.
We'll finish up with these last two, which is, now we're just going back to the music video for a moment. And the question I was going to ask, which I completely forgot to now, is I guess you might as well thank the people that, I guess, do you have any thank yous to say to the people who did your music videos or
Absolutely.
in the production of it?
Yeah, well, I can give a big shout out to, we had a partnership with South Florida Ford down here. You'll actually notice that I am driving a Ford Ranger in that music video because I love trucks, and that I'm not even being, I'm not trying to toot their own horn, but it is a fantastic truck. I didn't want to give it back by the end of the weekend. It was so smooth. You could back this thing up like, mwah. So Ford has been gracious. They've actually been backing me since I came to South Florida. So thank you so much for them, for all of their support. And my team, Sean Sloan is like, we're just a tandem in everything that we do. He came up with the whole concept of the music video to go to Tennessee and do that. So a lot of the legwork of that was on him, or really, let's just say the great people of Tennessee and Chattanooga, who have such a beautiful city for me to come to. And I will definitely go back.
And we'll finish up with this one last one, which is for our Australian listeners and viewers who haven't followed you yet on social media or through the music channels, and especially to listen to your song Echoes in particular, which is your new release. How can I go about following you on social media, and obviously to download your music and listen to it?
For sure. So all of my handles, well, you can find me on, my main one is Facebook, but I've got Instagram, I've got YouTube, I have my own website as well. And you can find me across the board with my name, BonnieMaiy.com, or Bonnie Maiy. So that's BonneMaiy. We're going to have my name somewhere here. You just find my name, you look for it, come say hi, tell me you're from Australia. We're always looking for new friendly faces to join the family.
Well, Bonnie Maiy, thank you so much for giving up your time to join us. It's awesome having you on the show. Obviously, I would like to hopefully do an interview with you in person. Normally I'm over there, so I could have done it in person, but obviously with the pandemic and everything like that, obviously it hasn't worked out that way. But hopefully next time we have you on the show, hopefully we get to interview you hopefully doing some live performances in person to your fans over there in the States, but obviously hopefully get down here to Australia as well to perform down here, and can't wait to hopefully have a chance to catch up with you soon.
Absolutely, Will. Thank you so much for having me a part of your show. Next time that we talk, I'll be a few more albums in. Don't you worry. It'll be a wonderful time. I thank you so much. Thank you everyone for listening too, or watching. I forgot they can see us.
No worries, and that's Bunny Maiy there. Join us there, of course, as we mentioned, of course, if you want to check out her song Echoes, of course, you can listen to it on Spotify as well as all the other major music channels, as well, of course, the music video, which we'll put up on our social media as well in the next day or so. There's more on the Smash Evening Show right after this. Don't go away. Here on the 10th year celebration.